This is Kim Paddock. I give permission to anyone who wants to download or share this video. It may be removed from the internet, and the content is important in the war being waged against the people of this earth. This is evidence that I've gathered over a lengthy period of time, and this is my interpretation of the evidence. Donald Trump signed a bill on April 3rd, 2017, called the Internet Privacy Repeal Bill, which repealed internet privacy rules passed by the Federal Communications Commissions that would have given internet users greater control over what service providers can do with your data. This allowed service providers to share your sensitive data, including browsing history, location, financial, and medical information, to create targeted advertisements, and I'm sure you've noticed them. On November 16, 2018, Trump signed the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency Act. This act created the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure, CISA, under the Department of Homeland Security. CISA then created a backdoor program to hack social media sites so that they can shadow ban videos, remove subscribers, manipulate viewer numbers, and remove some videos like this one. This video is made under fair use and is for educational purposes only. It is not my intention to promote violence or to judge the innocence or guilt of the parties involved in this video. This video addresses questions that I have about who is above the Khazarian Jewish mafia and directs the destruction of mankind and every living thing on God's earth through the Khazarian mafia and the Luciferian Masons. I ask that anyone watching this video realize that the entire world has been born in this satanic cult that lies and says it's our government. This government is ran by the Khazarian Jewish mafia. Please realize that what we think does not matter. It is what the enemy thinks that matters. We cannot defeat an enemy that we don't understand, and this is my effort to educate people on the reality of this world. We have been lied to and mind-controlled by these Satanists long enough, and it's time that the truth is revealed. Welcome to the time of revelation. I ask that you use your rational mind and God-given discernment when viewing this video. The enemy has taught people not to use rationality or discernment and to go with what they have taught us, which is nothing but lies. I would like to thank the following channels who provided content and research material that was used in this video. Gorilla 199 on YouTube, whose videos that were released in 2020 called out the children of the fallen angels as being hermaphrodites, which means that they are both sexes. His content has been valuable, and I will summarize it and continue where he left off. I thank Now You See TV on YouTube for their scriptural content concerning the origins of Lucifer and how he may be the father of many of the Nephilim, the hermaphrodite children of the fallen angels. I thank Demon Hunter for some of the content in this video, and lastly, I thank Benjamin Fulford for affirming that there are two Donald Trumps and that they are twins. One has blue eyes and one has brown eyes. When I refer to Trump in this video, I refer to both. If I missed anyone, I apologize. Thank you for your contributions. These satanic Luciferians, whether Khazarian Jews or the hermaphrodites who are assumed to direct them, follow the same rules with everything they do. They must put the truth in our face, and if we don't see it, then we're fair game. It's a karma thing. If we do see it, then we are no longer fair game. It's important to learn as much as possible about them in order to survive. They must kill as many of God's people as they can through sorcery, magic, pharmakia, and outright murder. They must also profit from everything that they do, as the sin of mammon is a great sin. Everything that they do pertains to the Holy Bible, which is also the truth that is required to be put before us for the most part. They blaspheme the Bible in every way imaginable to spite God and His people. Be aware that the term Jew was inserted into the Bible at some point, and this term didn't exist in the time of Jesus. Jesus was not a Jew, in other words. The letter J didn't exist either, so the real name of Jesus is said to be Yeshua. It's part of their trickery. I'm going to explain some history like you've never had it explained to you before. It is right in our face as their karma requires, but their explanations about what you are looking at will fall apart when you learn what their symbolism really means. To begin with, it's important to understand what hermaphrodites are. Aphrodite and Hermes represent Venus and Mercury and have long been a symbol for androgyny, which is portrayed by a female figure with male genitalia. Hermaphroditus is the child of Hermes and Aphrodite and is both sexes. This is where the term hermaphrodite comes from. Both are children born of a human woman and the angel Zeus, which is Apollyon, which is Lucifer. They use symbols to signal each other what the artwork is actually about. The Aphrodite stick, the mystery of the Nephilim short stick, mighty men of old, all in effeminate poses. The short stick held by statues of the gods and goddesses is in fact the caduceus. The caduceus has been cut off to hide the fact that they are all hermaphrodites. Another symbol of the hermaphrodite is the sigil that was used by the Nazis in World War II. Was Hitler a hermaphrodite? Hitler's feminine body and effeminate gestures and postures, wide hips, effeminate gestures, and behaving like a coy female. I better zoom in on this one a little bit. I decided to go back in time and work my way forward to our current time concerning hermaphrodite artwork. I will start with ancient Egypt and the hermaphrodite rulers of that time. This is an Egyptian sculpture of Akhenaten from the temple at Karnak. It has the serpent on the forehead as a symbol of the serpent seed. Notice the odd dimensions of the body and the focus on the extended belly with a strange belly button. It also has wide hips, but we are told that this is a male. This is a reconstruction of what King Tut looked like. The so-called boy king has a female upper body and wide hips. The lower features appear to be male with muscular legs and what appears to be male genitalia. Tut also has a painful club foot. I'll talk about the hermaphrodite feet later in this video. The feet are important to them. The Ankh is an ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic symbol of eternal life. It represents both genders and is the harmony between the sexes. The oval at the top of the Ankh represents the feminine, while the cross-like part below it represents the masculine. Together they represent the unity of opposites. The lower T of the cross represents male sexual characteristics, while the upper part, the cross's handle, stands for the uterus or a woman's pelvis. You'll notice that one of these two is carrying the Ankh and its genitalia have been conveniently chipped off. The hands and forearms are out of proportion on the one on the left. This is from the Egyptian temple that depicts the fertility god Men on the right and Senwarset on the left. The Ankh is featured on the left side of Senwarset. It's hard to miss the odd penis on Men. That is certainly not normal, but it is a god of fertility after all. This is a strange depiction of what looks like twins. Notice that both of them have two breasts on one side of their body and that they are one below the other. Once again, we see the strange big belly and a slit where the belly button should be. I have a theory about these big bellies and strange navels. I believe the slit where the navel should be is a vagina. I also believe that these hermaphrodites can have more than one vagina. These twins also have braided beards, no hips, and no visible genitalia below the belly. This is the goddess Hathor suckling Hermaphrodite the child. Let's take a closer look. The figure on the left is carrying the ankh and has the strange long finger. It may have a partial breast on one side. The child Hermaphrodite seems a little bit old for being breastfed. This child also has the strange navel, extended belly, and odd genitalia. This is another example of a breast on one side and narrow hips. These hermaphrodites can have many strange configurations of sex organs on their bodies. We are not looking at normal people here. Once again, we seem to see the single breast, long arms and fingers, and odd belly and navel with no hips. This depiction looks like the single breast is coming out of the armpit. If these were indeed the Nephilim hermaphrodites, any combination of sexual organs seems possible. This is yet another depiction of the ankh, which symbolizes their dual sexuality. Many of these Egyptian reliefs show what appears to be horns on either side of the head. This depicts Apollyon the Destroyer. The beast is a hermaphrodite, presents as male and female, is immortal, has horns, a harsh voice like a dragon, one dark eye, one light eye, light shines from its eyes, it can breathe underwater, it can change color, is the seed of the devil and a human woman, the ultimate serpent terror. Hermaphrodite men. Hermaphrodite giants can have male or female features. This also applies to the tares, the human-sized Nephilim. A Nephilim or a tare may look like a man or a woman in their features, but they are a hermaphrodite and capable of both fathering children or becoming pregnant. They can make a gender identification preference. Nephilim and tares are literally gender fluid. A man can have a penis, a woman can have a penis, and a man can have periods. This is Zeus, aka the enemy, the dragon, Asclepius, Poseidon, Neptune, Saturn, Hercules, Lucifer, like a lion, Saint Nicholas, Old Nick, Satan, etc. He's the father of lies, the father of liars, murderer, pedophile, rapist, thief, adulterer, deceiver, gender transformer, shapeshifter, warmonger, tyrant, maniac, monster. Father of the hermaphrodite abominations, Apollyon the Destroyer. Here the penis has been replaced with a neat hole. This is a statue from the Middle Ages in Berlin. You'll notice that this one is holding the hermaphrodite caduceus in its hand. Hermes has yet another gender which is indescribable. The rest of these Nephilim will also have abomination genitals. Apollyon the Destroyer, aka Alexander the Great, has a vagina. This is a, let's see. Oh, notice she's pointing at something. The first way to identify these hermaphrodites is from their unusual genitalia and body structure. I decided to look at sculptures by Michelangelo, who is another man of renown as the Bible calls them. Genesis 6:4. When the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown. Notice that this lady is pointing at something. This is what she's pointing at. Yes, that is strange male genitalia coming off the shoulder of this statue of Apollo. They say it's David, but it is always the hermaphrodite depiction of Apollo the Destroyer, Zeus or Lucifer, which are all the same. These people are so predictable. Of course, it always depicts the Bible. Michelangelo's sculpture of David depicts him holding the pouch of a sling in his left hand above his shoulder. According to the Bible, David took up his shepherd's staff, 5 smooth stones, and a sling when he went to fight Goliath. However, only the sling is represented in Michelangelo's structure. Yeah, it's more than the sling here. Michelangelo was also famous for putting a big belly on some of his sculptures. Above is Apollo, who looks pregnant, and Zeus is below. Apollo has strange genitalia as well. This sculpture is called the Rebellious Slave. It's an effeminate Apollo with a big belly. And now you know why they like the Hermaphrodite demon god Baphomet. And all the symbolism in here is Apollyon, child of Lucifer, Zeus. The eclipsed sun equals male Apollyon, the sun god. Apollyon has horns. Apollyon is the star god. The crescent moon, Selene, the moon goddess, aka Apollyon, equals female. The hermaphrodite caduceus, the legs forming the hermaphrodite X, which we'll get into in a minute. The second way that these hermaphrodites may be identified is by their feet. Michelangelo had a fascination with feet. They were all odd-looking feet with second toes that are longer than the big toe, and some of these feet are just ugly. This condition is called Morton's foot, Greek foot, and, no surprise, royal toe. People with this condition may experience calluses, foot pain, bunions, and corns on their feet. The condition is hereditary. I would not have given this much thought except for the foot rituals that celebrities are performing in public. There's some more sculptures by Michelangelo of the feet. And here is Posh, Penelope Cruz, Kate Moss, Kate Beckinsale, Gwyneth Paltrow, Claudia Schiffer, and Cameron Diaz, Jennifer Aniston, who has ugly feet like a man, Oprah Winfrey, who has the ugliest feet, and Oprah's in the Bible, by the way. It's always about the Bible. Jennifer Hudson, Zoe Salonda, Kate Bosworth, Kate Beckinsale. Ellie Fanning shows off her yellowed feet at the premiere of the Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn, of course, a vampire movie. Nicole Schringzisser, or whatever her name is, its name. Kim Kardashian. Juliana Moore's feet. And, you know, they direct the photographers to take these pictures on purpose. This is not an accident. Ivana Trump's feet. I'll zoom in on those just a little. Ew. Ashton Kutcher with his webbed toes. And Melania Trump, she's a little more subtle, but she's showing the problems with her feet right there. And Melania Trump, supposedly her beginning days as a model, but it's all in the Masonic black and white. Attentive observers noticed that Mrs. Trump's nose changed at least twice over the years. After the first rhinoplasty, the hump disappeared, and after the second, the wings and tips changed. Eye shape of Melania also attributed to the hands of a plastic surgeon. This effect is provided by the correction of the outer corner of the lower blepharoplasty, whatever that says. They love plastic surgery because that can correct a lot of the problems that they show. If they're supposed to be females, they often get male features growing on them, like big brow ridges and stuff. Those can't be corrected as well, but a lot of it can these days. So there's always that. And this is Steve Tyler of the band Aerosmith. He's got some seriously ugly feet. And the reason I show this picture is because you'll notice that with the two of these standing together, how small Trump's hands are next to hers, and how small his feet are next to hers. It's just very odd. I found this interesting photo of one of the Trump twins. This is obviously a foot ritual, but it means much more. Trump is in a white suit, sitting on a white bird with wings that intentionally look like he has wings. This is a symbol for an angel. The bird is not a swan. It symbolizes the phoenix. The phoenix is an important symbol for the cult. It symbolizes the fallen angel Lucifer. Most occultists believe that the phoenix is a symbol of Lucifer, who is cast down in flames and who they think will one day rise again. What this photo is telling me is that Trump is letting us know that he is possibly from the bloodline of Lucifer and that he worships Lucifer. That would be the prior one, I'm sorry. I wasn't done with this one yet. The fallen angel, also known as Apollo and Zeus, which means that Trump twins are Nephilim hermaphrodites. Okay, on we go. A group of these sculptures of Trump were placed around the country. This one is called The Emperor Has No Balls. This is a very public disclosure of what Trumps really are and fills the karmic requirement of putting it in our face. We see the strange genitalia and misshapen body. Behind the figure on the walls is more symbolism. The word Jesus is prominent and is meant to blaspheme Jesus Christ. It's interesting to note that these hermaphrodites have a demon that they also name Jesus. Dual black skulls and an upside-down triangle are prominent in this picture. I'll talk about the meaning of this upside-down triangle soon. Trump is a larger-than-life figure in a world culture at the moment, a spokesman for In Decline told The Post. LA's Trump was removed from the Hollywood Boulevard by city crews, but then rescued by the proprietor of Wacko's Art Gallery, Jesus, well, yeah, it's Jesus, who relocated it to the front steps of the store. And this explains these sculptures and how they were placed all over the United States. And then we get to the hand gestures. And Trump always making the symbol for a vagina. There's another one. You can go to the website The Cut and scroll down through the many images of Trump making this hand signal. Is Trump putting it in our face that he is in fact a female hermaphrodite and is the one who gave birth to the Trump children? Is this why the idea that men can give birth is being taught to children in school? Are these hermaphrodites attempting to normalize what they really are so that they can be worshipped and accepted by the masses? There he is again. Now we can look at Laura Trump. That is the manliest woman I've ever seen. Notice the skull and crossbones on the uniform? That's a tribute to the Skull and Bones death cult at Harvard University that several of their presidents were members of. In this photo, Laura also sports the skull and bones. The numbers on the arm also have occult meaning. This is Laura next to a real woman. See how much taller Laura is? This is a picture of Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump. Jared Kushner has an odd-shaped body with the upper torso being thin and wider at the hips. Here we see Barron Trump next to his mother. Men can give birth after all. Barron looks like he has some of the genetics of the Nephilim giants of old. He's 17 in this photo and has not finished growing yet. Zoom in on this one. I looked at some other celebrity photos. This is Tom Cruise skydiving. This photo was taken intentionally at an angle to point out that there is nothing between his legs. This is Scarlett Johansson in a photo that shows something strange between her legs. That is not a vagina. What is that? Just no. Lady Gaga has made no secret of her having a penis. She claims that she is transgender, which is not true. They use transgender excuses for their mixed genitalia. Do not be fooled. These are Nephilim hermaphrodites. Something about Jackie Kennedy Onassis always bothered me. Something was just not right about her. This photo shows an angle where she looks masculine, has a big head, padded shoulders to hide the width and squareness of them. FYI, Robert Kennedy was not assassinated. The 13 bloodlines never kill their own. That staged event was another satanic ritual designed to traumatize the world and keep us insecure. It's MK Ultra mind control, and we've been subjected to it all of our lives. Notice that Kennedy and Onassis are two of the 13 Illuminati bloodlines. They always marry their own, and I believe we now understand why this is. All of the elite, the royals, the top celebrities, all of the men of great renown are the Nephilim, serpent seed of Lucifer, the fallen angel. This one has always given me the creeps. This is known as Carrot Top, a third-rate comedy act that lives in Las Vegas. I wouldn't let any child near this evil-looking thing. How is this thing worth $75 million? I wouldn't pay a dime to see this thing on stage, and I don't know anyone who would just had to go to Vegas to see this third-rate act. I question whether this one got rich from human trafficking like all of the elites do. Here we have the Addams family. Need I say more? These are supposed to be female wrestlers, but it's obvious to me that these are not women. Another method that may be used to identify some of these people is that they may have a rare blood type. AB negative, A negative, and B negative are rare blood types that many elites seem to have. O negative is another less rare blood type that many celebrities have, but I'll limit this discussion to the A and B negative types. AB negative is only about 1% of the population. It took some research, but Trump is A negative. And let's read some of this because it's interesting about his car, the Beast. Donald Trump's new bomb-proof car that carries guns and the president's blood. In the boot, there are firefighting system and oxygen system in the trunk in case of chemical attack, tear gas and smoke screen dispensers, along with bags of the president's Rh negative blood type in case of an emergency transfusion. Oh, that's rare. And there's where it says A negative. Here's some other celebrities with A negative, B negative, or AB negative. Jennifer Aniston, AB negative. Dan Aykroyd, AB negative. He also has webbed feet, and he likes the skulls. Barack Obama, AB negative. Meryl Streep, AB negative. The best actress of our time, that. She has zero talent. Clinton, AB negative. That would be Bill. Mick Jagger, AB negative. Here's some other people with famous blood types. Another anomaly that I have observed is Trump's rare chromosomes. And it says here YXX, which is an inverted one for XXY. The Satanists always invert things. Klinefelter syndrome, KS, is known as 47XXY or Jacobs syndrome. XXY syndrome is a rare chromosomal birth defect that occurs when a male infant is born with an extra Y chromosome. Instead of 46 chromosomes, there are 47. They are taller than average, may have microchitism, small testicles, enlarged breasts. About half the males affected with the group need the help of reproductive technology. Larger head dimensions, severe acne in adolescence, behavior and emotional difficulties, learning disabilities and delayed development of speech and language skills, delayed development of motor skills such as sitting and walking, weak muscle tone, hand tremors or other involuntary movements, slightly lower IQ than normal. The combination of sex chromosomes inherited from parents determine whether a human develops as a male or a female, and this explains the X and Y chromosomes. And this says 3% of infertile males in the country suffer from Klinefelter syndrome. While most men with Klinefelter syndrome produce little or no sperm, some may be able to become fathers with assisted reproduction. Little or no sperm, maybe because the emperor has no balls, maybe? Now we can move on to the meaning of X. The mark of the hermaphrodite beast. X, the Greek letter H, pronounced he. X also pronounced chi, which is she. X equals he and she. And they're putting it in our face every time we turn around. And here's Elon Musk rebranding Twitter to X. I think we know why. SpaceX and Elon Musk. We need to pay attention to the X's. We have X Factor, X-Men, Generation X, X-22, and many other names. Satanic Luciferian Elon Musk makes the 666 symbol to tell you who he serves. Oh, and the Talmud has 6 genders in it. The Satanic Bible. Matthew 13:24 to 13:30, the parable of the wheat and the tares. The tares are finally exposed. They are hermaphrodites. And this one is Matthew 13:24 to 30. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which has sowed good seed in his field. But when the man slept, his enemy came and sowed tares amongst the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came in and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? And he said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the end time of harvest I will say to you reapers, gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles and burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. The devil cannot speak. This is from the book of Eden. O Adam, because you and Eve, I am slippery and go on my belly. Then it's with great strength I threw down Adam and Eve and squeezed them and tried to kill them. But God sent an angel who threw the serpent away from them and raised them up. Then the word of God came to the serpent and said, the first time I made you slick and made you go on your belly, but I did not deprive you of speech. This time, however, you will be mute. You and your race will speak no more, because the first time my creatures were ruined because of you, and this time you tried to kill them. This is why Masonic hand signals and symbols exist. They want to be like God in retaliation to God's punishment of making the serpent and fallen angels mute. The devil and his seed will punish us with hermaphrodite gender justice and take away our freedom of speech by using the clever words of witchcraft. Comply or you are a criminal equals jail, like the fallen angels are in everlasting chains. And this explains who's involved in the rise of transgenderism, which are Jews, pretty much. And this is what they want to do to the children. And this is what they want to teach the children. With the colors of the rainbow, they mock the Bible again. And, right, gay pride parades. By the way, if you're a pedophile who wants to escape justice, just move to Israel and you'll be safe. The Khazarian Jewish government will not deport you for the sins that they indulge in as well. Israel also has the biggest gay pride parades in the world and the largest number of atheists of any country. There you go, right in front of the kids. Oh, LGBTs for Trump. Of course they are. Makes total sense. Here are the Khazarian Jews in their Masonic black and white outfits in the presence of some of the presidents of the fake government. People think that these Jews are in charge of these presidents, but the opposite is true. These presidents are all of the 13 Illuminati family bloodlines and are all hermaphrodites in my opinion. All you need to do is look at some of the first ladies to figure that out. Now we'll get to Jeffrey Epstein. He wants to seed his DNA with human DNA. Of course they do. They want to destroy everything that was made by God. Well, the Mockingbird media, which includes the alternate media, rehashes the same old news that was released years ago of the list of people that were on the flights to Epstein Island to distract us. The real news is that Epstein was never arrested because he's one of the bloodline of the children of the fallen angels. They don't arrest each other, as was seen with Trump never arresting Hillary Clinton. And this explains how Epstein, sex trafficking, he reflected long-standing fascination with what has become known as transhumanism, the science of improving the human population through technologies like genetic engineering and artificial intelligence. Epstein was charged in July, that was 2008, with sexual trafficking of girls as young as 14. Once at a dinner at Mr. Epstein's mansion on Manhattan's Upper East Side, Mr. Lanier said he talked to a scientist who told him that Mr. Epstein's goal was to have 20 women at a time impregnated at his 33,000 square foot Zorro Ranch in a tiny town outside Santa Fe. They do love that number 33. Mr. Lanier said the scientist identified herself as working at NASA, but he did not remember her name. Yeah, we got to throw the fake NASA in there. And here's something that was interesting. At Epstein's trial, attorney asked him this: "Is it true, sir, that you have what's been described as an egg-shaped penis?" The accused sex trafficker raises his eyebrows in disbelief before his attorney says, "The deposition is adjourned," and Epstein walks away in a huff. The question clearly didn't get under Epstein's skin in the way the attorney had hoped, as he didn't reveal any of the information that the attorney had hoped he would, though Epstein was clearly displeased by the question. So there you go with the strange genitalia. Oh, I bet you never knew this. Here's Trump at Epstein's private island dancing with a 13-year-old girl. Trump was in his 50s when this photo was taken. Trump raping children. Trump paid to silence victims through the lawyer fixer Cohen. Katie Johnson, 13. At that time, it was pending, but that was in 2016 when that happened. Kelly Fuhrer, 12 years old, $1 million. Michael Parker, 10 years old, $10 million. Maria Olivier, 12, $16 million. Charles Bacon, 11, $3 million. Rebecca Conway, 13, $5 million. Kevin Knoll, 11, unknown. In court, Trump was diagnosed as a number 65.4 pedophilic disorder from DSM-5 Diagnostic and Statistic Manual of Mental Disorders. And if you look up a 65.4, that's a top predator. They'll do anything. And here it talks about the teenage girl. This article published in May 2nd, 2016 by Winning Democrats website, which reported that a woman using the name Katie Johnson had named Trump and billionaire Jeffrey Epstein in a $100 million lawsuit, accusing them of having solicited sex acts from her at sex parties held at the Manhattan homes of Epstein and Trump back in 1994. Epstein and Trump are very good friends, no? U.S. jury finds Donald Trump liable for sexual abuse and awards. But if you click on this, that video has been removed. What happened to the 20 women who accused Trump of sexual misconduct? This article is in the Intelligencer, and it goes down and goes through every name of every victim. What happened to believe the victims? Now let's move on to Operation Warseed that was put in place by Trump. And this shows the symbolism. The 13 pentagrams in the Bible represents rebellion and lawlessness. WWW or 666. Antakarna symbolizes the mind, metaphon, forehead. Yud means arm, hand, praise, early Hebrew. The anakarna is a concept in Hindu philosophy referring to the totality of the mind, including the thinking faculty, the sense of oneness, and the discriminating faculty. Anta means inner, and karana means instrument or function. So there's a little bit of information for you on Operation Warseed. We have the military all lined up for the vaccine, and the military is going to do it in a very powerful way. He was going to force vaccinate us all. This tracking system will be on land, on sea, and in the air. We will have a proper tracking system. Trump makes it clear that he's for the tracking and tracing of every one of us. As many people know now, the COVID vaccine bioweapon contains computer chips that tell them where you are at all times. Where's the transparency in the vaccine program? One of the requirements of being in the cult is to practice the sin of mammon. They must make money from everything they do. Let's take a look at how much money Trump and his associates made from the vaccine rollout. Excuse me for a minute. I got to be able to read it. Pfizer and BioNTech have struck a deal with the Trump administration to supply an extra 100 million doses of their COVID-19 vaccine to the U.S. by the end of 2021, July 2021, and the companies said in a statement Wednesday. This is the second agreement the U.S. government has made with Pfizer, bringing the total number of ordered doses of the vaccine to 200 million. Under the terms of the deal, the companies will supply at least 70 million doses by the end of June 2021 and the remaining 30 million doses to be delivered no later than the end of July 31st. The government would pay $1.95 billion for the additional 100 million doses, the company said, which is the same price it paid for the original 100 million Pfizer doses in the deal agreed in July. President Trump received a high dose of experimental antibody cocktail from Regeneron as part of his COVID-19 treatment. Now the drug maker's stock is up sharply and questions are swirling about the president's ties to Regeneron's billionaire CEO. Trump's team revealed Friday that the president received the drug called RegenCov-2, which is being used to alleviate symptoms and reduce viral load. Shares of Regeneron surged 7% Monday, bringing the stock's year-to-date gain of more than 60%. The stock reached its highs the day after Trump tweeted that he will be leaving the hospital Monday evening. Regeneron CEO Dr. Leonard Schleifer and President Trump are acquainted. The CEO has been a member at Trump's golf club in Westchester, New York, and his company received $450 million in government funding in July as part of the president's Operation Warp Speed plan to quickly develop a vaccine and other treatments for COVID-19. Meanwhile, Trump also recently owned shares of Regeneron as well as Gilead Sciences, maker of the antiviral drug remdesivir, that the president is also, the president is also taking. Both stocks were listed as assets on Trump's 2017 filing in the U.S. Office of Government Ethics, though neither were holdings on the president's most recent filing in 2020. Lynn and President Trump are acquaintances from both living in the Westchester area for many years, but didn't have any regular contact until this year. It's not what we just read. When they've discussed matters around COVID on occasion, Regeneron told CNN Business in a statement. According to Forbes, Schleifer is now worth $2.5 billion, up from $2.1 billion in the middle of March. Schleifer primarily donated to Democratic political candidates and PACs in the 2016 and 2018 elections, according to the Federal Election Commission records. Regeneron is one of many biotechs and big pharma firms that has skyrocketed in hopes that it may be able to quickly develop an effective coronavirus treatment. Anyway, there's your connection between Trump and the sin of mammon. Trump gives $1.6 billion to Bill Gates. Yeah, the eugenicist Bill Gates that wants 90% of the population gone. Let's give him some money. Let's do some money laundering here. Bill Gates with Rabbi Schneerson at the head of the Jewish extremist end times cult Chabad Lubavitch. Gates' mother is Maxwell, related to the Israeli Mossad agent Ghislaine Maxwell. who used child trafficking to blackmail world leaders with Jeffrey Epstein. Do you get it? Let's see. Now we can look at the ventilator scam that Trump initiated. Trump forced GM to stop making cars to make ventilators that he acknowledged were killing most people put on them. Yeah, he loves us. U.S. spent $200 million sending 8,722 ventilators around the world and can't find many now. And this article goes over the $200 million sending thousands of ventilators around the world. Calls himself the king of ventilators. Supposedly sent them to countries that had 0 new cases of COVID. From late May to late September, the previous administration committed to sending 8,722 ventilators to 43 countries, but with no clear criteria for determining which countries need ventilators or how many to send. In April, Trump claimed the U.S. was king of ventilators, despite falsely asserting that the Obama administration had left him with none. In fact, the Department of Health and Human Services told CNN that the U.S. had 16,660 ventilators, there's that 666, on hand, almost all that had been in the nation's stockpile since the end of the previous administration, with another 2,425 in maintenance. But there was still a severe shortage across the globe, and the U.S. was reaching the peak of its first wave of infections with approximately 2,000 deaths per day in mid-April. So, where are the ventilators? What happened with the money? Sounds like money laundering to me. And this talks about the ventilators again. There's limited information about the locations. Oh, but they had begun implementing a process to locate the ventilators. But apparently, there's just none to be found. They disappeared. Trump gave full control of this country to the military through FEMA. It's interesting to note that Trump then defunded FEMA by $44 billion. Where did that money go? It was important for Trump to provide protection to the Khazarian Jewish mafia under the false term anti-Semitism. As you can see, anti-Semitic means that you don't like the languages Aramaic, Arabic, or Hebrew. This is just another trick that the Khazarian Jews use to shut people up and put them on the defense. Trump did indeed attend a Jesuit university, but he was not truthful about his grades from Wharton. This says, Trump got his college degree in economics. During his time at UPenn, the former president took undergraduate classes at the prestigious Wharton School of Business, but he didn't obtain his MBA. Trump has repeatedly claimed that he graduated first in his class from Wharton, but he didn't. You have to have a 3.4 or higher to do that, and he didn't do it. These are all the Jews in the Trump administration. Trump, the Times of Israel reports, Trump, the first Jewish president of the United States. Why would they say that? Let's look at this one. Trump converts to Orthodox Judaism. Sorry about that. When Trump visited Israel in 2017, he converted to Orthodox Judaism, which is another term for the Khazarian Jewish mafia. Trump reportedly told the MSM not to publish this information in the United States, as he may lose his Christian supporters. He had plans for them. they link Trump to King David, said he's preparing the way for Messiah. So the Jews are linking Trump to King David. The Khazarian Jews believe that Trump is their Messiah and likens him to King David. The significance of this statement may surprise you. I will summarize the link between King David, King Solomon, and the Messiah that is presumed to have come from the bloodline and is to build the third temple of Solomon in current times. I'll start with what the Jews believe about this Messiah. One of the principles of the Jewish faith enumerated by Maimonides is that one day there will arise a dynamic Jewish leader, a direct descendant of the Davidic dynasty, who will rebuild the temple in Jerusalem and gather Jews from all over the world and bring them back to the land of Israel. All the nations of the world will recognize Moshiach to be a world leader and will accept his dominion. In the Messianic era, there will be world peace, no more wars or famine, in general a high standard of living. All mankind will worship one God, New World Order, and live a more spiritual, moral way of life. The Jewish nation will be preoccupied with learning Torah and fathoming the secrets. The coming of Moshiach will complete God's purpose in creation, for man to make an abode for God in the lower worlds. Yeah, he comes from the lower worlds, all right. And this speaks about the crowning achievement of King Solomon's reign was the erection of a magnificent temple in Jerusalem, often called Solomon's Temple. And it's important that we recognize what the Jews are saying about Trump in the connection with King David and Solomon. Solomon's father, King David, had wanted to build a great temple for God a generation earlier as a permanent resting place for the Ark of the Covenant, which contained the Ten Commandments. However, God had forbidden him from doing so. "You will not build a house for my name, for you are a man of battles and have shed blood." Then Solomon began to build the house of the Lord in Jerusalem, on Mount Moriah, where the Lord had appeared to his father David. This new stationary temple would replace the portable tabernacle constructed during the wilderness wanderings. If Solomon reigned from 970 to 930 BC, then he began building the temple in 966 BC. A very interesting fact concerning the building of the temple was that there was no noise of the construction. The material was prepared before it was brought to the building site. The house, while it was being built, was of stone prepared at the quarry, and there was neither hammer, nor axe, nor iron tool heard in the house while it was being built. The Bible's description of Solomon's temple suggests that the inside ceiling was 180 feet long, 90 feet wide, 50 feet high, so forth. Until the temple was destroyed by the Babylonians some 400 years later in 586 BC, sacrifice was predominant mode of divine service there. 70 years later, a second temple was completed on the same site, and sacrifices again resumed. The book of Ezra chronicles the building of the second temple. During the first century, Herod greatly enlarged and expanded this temple, which became known as Herod's Temple. It was destroyed by the Romans in AD 70 during the siege of Jerusalem. Only a small portion of the retaining wall remains to this day, known as the Wailing Wall. So that's a little bit of background here. Orthodox Judaism. Orthodox Judaism believes in the rebuilding of the third temple and the resumption of korban, sacrifices, although there is disagreement about how rebuilding should take place. Orthodox scholars and rabbinic authorities generally believe that building should occur in the era of the Jewish Messiah, which we are in, at the hand of the divine providence, although a minority position following the opinion of Maimonides holds that Jews should endeavor to rebuild the temple themselves whenever possible. Generally accepted position among Orthodox Jews is that the full order of the sacrifices, that's human too, will be resumed upon the building of the temple. This belief is embedded in Orthodox Jewish prayer service, the Khazarian Jews. 3 times a day, the Orthodox Jews recite the Amidah, which contains prayers for the temple's restoration and for the resumption of sacrifices. And every day there is a recitation of the order of the day's sacrifices, and the Psalms and the Levites would have sung that day. So there you go. They want to resume human sacrifices in the open. Here are the 72 demons of Solomon. Oh, has Solomon's third temple already been built? Have we been lied to again when we were told that the old temple was built in Jerusalem? This one is in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And it was finished in 2014. And it's no accident that these satanic Luciferians had one of their big rituals in Sao Paulo, Brazil in 2014 called the World Cup around the time that Solomon's temple opened, which was on July 31st, 2014, about the same time. The exact location of the temple is still unknown, but is said to have been built somewhere in the ancient Jerusalem in Israel. However, to this day, there's no evidence or definite archaeological proof that of where the temple is. The only information we have is about it is coming from the religious books of the time. So there's really no proof of where this was. Most Jews do not like to admit it, but our God is Lucifer, the hidden tyranny, Harold Wallace Rosenthal. And this is a history of how the Khazars were forced to choose one of the 3 Abrahamic religions because they had been robbing, murdering, and stealing identities from people going through Khazaria, and the neighbors had it with them. So the Khazarian king was given a choice between Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. The Khazarian king chose Judaism and promised to stay within the requirements laid out by the surrounding Confederacy of Nations led by the Russian Tsar. Despite this agreement and promise, the Khazarian king and his inner circle of oligarchs kept practicing ancient Babylonian black magic, also known as secret Satanism. This secret Satanism involved occult ceremonies featuring child sacrifice after bleeding them out, drinking their blood, and eating their hearts. The deep, dark secret of the occult ceremonies was that they were all based on ancient Baal worship, also known as worship of the owl. In order to fool the Confederacy of Nations led by Russia that were watching Khazaria, the Khazarian king melded these Luciferian black magic practices with Judaism and created a secret satanic hybrid religion known as Babylonian Talmudism. This was made the national religion of Khazaria and nurtured the same evil that Khazaria was known for before. Sadly, the Khazarians continued their evil ways, robbing and murdering those from surrounding countries who traveled through Khazaria. Khazarian robbers often attempted to assume the identities after they murdered these visitors and became masters of disguises and false identities, a practice they have continued even to this very day, along with their child sacrifice occult ceremonies, which are actually ancient Baal worship. And here's some more from this article. If you want to stop and read some more of the history of the Khazarian Jewish mafia, how they took over the banking industry, how they were expelled from other countries, and so forth. And the Rothschilds as the front men for the Khazarian mafia, and how they eradicated the true kings. Oh, warning. We're coming to some really graphic photos here, so just be aware of that. This is a Jew with a baby that has been sacrificed and it looks like disemboweled on a seashell, which has deep occult meaning, and the eternal flame of Lucifer is behind him. This one's kind of grainy, but I'm kind of glad it is, because that is a baby on a platter in front of a rabbi, and he will eat it. And, ew, just no. And they do eat people. That's what the Nephilim do. That's what the Khazars do. It looks like they're trying to force these children to be cannibals and terrorize them. And they're trying to normalize cannibalism. You know, they put human DNA in food at McDonald's and other places. Multiple Planned Parenthood officials have admitted under oath to trafficking the body parts and organs of babies they slaughtered. Yeah, that's the mafia. Now let's look at what some Jews said. We Jews, we are the destroyers and will remain the destroyers. Nothing you can do will meet our demands and needs. We will forever destroy because we want a world of our own. Maurice Samuel, taken from his book, You Gentiles, page 155. The ultimate goal is at the forcible coordination of all countries of the world. They shall be achieved by mixing the races with the goal to create a light brown race in Europe. For that reason, 1.5 million immigrants from the Third World shall migrate to Europe every year. The result will be a population with an average IQ of 90 that is so dumb to grasp anything but intelligent enough to work. The European countries would never again be competitors in the struggle for global domination, and a multiple millennia-old culture would be destroyed. Irrational people who will fight against this mingling of the races and put up with any resistance against the global world order should be killed. Thomas Barnett, Jew, Director of Israeli Military. This is what they say. It is in the Jewish interest, it is in the humanity's interest that whites experience a genocide until white children are buried alive, white women raped, mutilated, murdered, and all white men who have not been slaughtered watch powerlessly as their people are terrorized. Only then will mankind be on a more equal footing, ready to discuss white privilege and the apparent chip on the shoulder that minorities have. Ishmael Levitz. Rudolf Steiner on vaccination. Spirits of darkness are going to inspire their human hosts to find a vaccine that will drive all inclination towards spirituality out of people's souls. Sounds like the COVID vaccine did it. And of course, the so-called royals are Ninth Circle Satanists, just like the Khazarian Jewish Mafia. The Ninth Circle is as low as you can get in hell, by the way. And the things you have to do to get there, I've kind of shown you. Oh, MAGA is the fifth and highest degree in the hierarchy of the Church of Satan. I don't think we need to question that. Trump just loved to quote the story of the snake during his 2016 campaign. A tender-hearted woman finds a half-frozen snake and rescues it, only to be bitten. She asks the snake why it had bit her when she was so kind. The snake replies, "You knew I was a snake when you let me in." And indeed he was. This is another sculpture I found online. It sums up what the satanic Luciferians really think about us and our children. And by the way, Solomon summoned 72 demons to build the temple. That's why there was no sounds heard. And I'll summarize that real quick before we close because it's important and I kind of missed it. I'll summarize history about King Solomon. King Solomon is spoken of in the Holy Bible, but nothing is said there except that he forced slaves to build his temple. The slaves, it turns out, were 72 demons that Solomon summoned after he received a ring of power from God in answer to his prayers to control a genie that was drinking the blood of a boy that Solomon liked. The ring was said to have been delivered to him by the archangel Michael. This ring gave Solomon the power to control demons, summon genies, and gave him incredible powers over almost anything. This reminds me of a movie. One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. The Lord of the Rings is the story of King Solomon. Solomon used the ring to enslave 72 demons to build his temple. So that relates back to Solomon's temple. I apologize for that. I should have read it. Now we can talk about the bubonic plague. In summary, the Jesuits poisoned the wells and waters in the Middle Ages and caused the Black Plague. It was not brought in by rats. Church officials and monarchs told them to do it. These Jesuits would throw a small packet of poison into the wells and other bodies of water on the orders of the Nephilim Hermaphrodites. People that survived caught some of these Jesuits and got confessions from them of what they did and burned them at the stake. The church officials pleaded with the ruling class to stop the people from burning their Jesuit army. Even though the monarchs attempted to stop the burning of the Jews, at first it didn't work. More strong-arm tactics had to be used to stop the angry people from burning these Jews. We are far past the poisoning of water. They are using deadly level 4 poisons in water treatment plants for every city and town now. Chemtrails have never stopped and continue to poison the earth and every living thing on it. The vaccine bioweapons are full of technology, toxins, and deadly parasite eggs. There are toxic chemical poisons in nearly everything that we eat. The Khazarian Jews are name changers, and in 1928, they changed the names of the toxic chemical waste from their factories to the names of vitamins to avoid paying for proper waste disposal, to create a new market to make money, and to poison us. Now I've made some videos, and here's one of them. Synthetic vitamins are toxic waste. Vitamin D3 is used as rodent bait. And you probably should watch these because you can look up anything on any label and see what it really is. And I show you how. And here's another one that I made. You can look me up on BitChute under Oracle News, under Rumble, under Kim Paddock, Kimpaddock, and you can find these videos there. And this one, entering a courtroom is a satanic ritual. Judges are 33rd degree Masons. Like I said, this is a fake government. They operate under maritime law. If you walk into a court and ask the judge, are we operating under maritime law? They will bang their gavel and leave because you just caught them in a fiction. We're supposed to be operating under God's common law, not maritime law, to enslave us. And I also have a website, www.kimpaddock.com, in which I've been collecting data about the vaccine bioweapon for years. That would be someplace that you'd want to go. But I thank you for watching this video. We're in the time of our lives during Revelation here. God bless.